Autism funding is going to be ending March 31st, 2027. And the government is saying that all families will have access to the free community-based services.
That's 100% of children with any needs here in BC. And that seems really too good to be true. And maybe it is too good to be true. Today, we're going to dissect what the concerns are and why it seems too good to be true, who's going to serve these community centers, and where are they located? The math isn't mathing and the map isn't mapping. We're going to get into it. I'm Steph, founder of Awesome Match Autism Services, and I am here with Angela, my co-host. Hi. We're both autism parents and we're both service providers, and we're both here to just talk about the changes that are happening to the autism funding year. And this is part of our mini series into the community centers. So a couple of things we're going to go through today. Math isn't mathing, map isn't mapping, and data is showing us some really concerning statistics here.
So let's jump in first, kind of explaining a bit about what the community-based services are.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So what we know so far is that they're free, which we love. We love free. And they're going to be for any child that
100%.
has support needs.
Yeah.
So in theory, this sounds amazing.
I think people have been waiting a very long time to have the ability to access therapy without having any barriers. Like, I think really the only complaints we get right now in the current base system for autistic individuals, of course, is that $6,000 isn't really enough for therapies per year.
Right. So if we're able to access additional therapies
Wonderful.
for free,
that's perfect.
Right? Like, how can this be true?
I know, but of course, with everything, guys, we have to be realistic here. Yeah. Several provinces have tried this model. It has not been successful, and there's been really long wait times. So maybe we'll dissect first what these community models are supposed to be and the timelines. Can you talk a little bit, Angela, about what those community centers are?
Okay. So based off of what the government website has told us, they're multidisciplinary agencies made up of pediatric therapists, child development specialists, and support navigators.
That's about as good as we got right now?
That's about what we've been told.
Okay, that's right.
No, but realistically, what these community development centers or these government agencies should be providing is children behavioral support, SLP support, OT, I think physiotherapy, a range of therapies available for kids.
Well, and we're here to talk about autism. So before we really get too much into it, I should really preface, and we should have at the beginning, so my apologies, is we are here for and, not or. This new model is designed to be able to allow any child with any needs to be able to access therapy, which is fantastic. Those kiddos should have had it all along. So just to preface with that, we are speaking from an autism standpoint as autism parents and autism service providers, and from people who have accessed autism funding and what autism funding is now and what that's going to look like in 1 year today. We are filming this on March 31st, 2026.
The countdown is on.
The countdown starts today, guys. So we have 1 year to figure this out together. So back to the community centers. Right now, guys, if you're watching this and you don't know, most families with autism therapy, kiddos under the age of 6 get $22,000 a year. And usually that allows a diverse range of a multidisciplinary team, like Angela just mentioned, SLP, OT, and behavior. Then when a kiddo turns 6, that decreases typically to 1. So a parent would select OT or SLP or behavioral. Because the funding dips so low, it's hard to sustain all of them.
Drops down to $6,000
Drops to $6,000. So now what they're saying is, hey guys, we're going to remove that, but we're going to give you these free centers. Of course, if you watch the other programs, they're replacing that with 3 programs. Just a super quick summary. Program 1 is the benefit. Estimated 30% of kiddos most profoundly impacted by autism will have that. The other 70%, they're left with the next 2. The second program, if you haven't watched it, is the supplement. This is cash in hand for families. We have some pretty bold statistics about what that may look like or might be used for, but probably not therapy as a spoiler. And then this is program 3, which is like, it's okay if you don't get the benefit. It's okay if you don't get the supplement. you get the free
You
community
get the
centers.
free
Yay!
services.
So the timelines are not making sense, and the people filling the spots for supporting these kiddos don't make sense. As Angela mentioned, they're not really being specific on who is going to even provide these services in the first place. And there's not a lot of information given to us to be able to confidently go into the system. Let's talk quickly about the timelines.
So before we get to the timelines, I just want to quickly say what the investment is. So this is what the government has stated, that they will be investing into these free community-based services.
Okay.
$475 million over 3 years, announced as of February 11th, 2026.
And we're asking just to pause you a second in our dynamic conversation, just again to put in a preface again about and not or. Why don't they just take that 475 extra and give it to the kiddos that need it, that should have had it all along?
Right.
Okay, so that's our ask, but let's keep going.
80 million specifically dedicated to community service expansions,
which they say is 40% more than they currently get.
And pretty much the goal of this is to grow the community services by more than 40% over 3 years. That's what we know about the funding available and the investment.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about the timeline.
Okay.
So the timeline kind of states that as of spring 2026, so where we are right now, they're going to be focusing on pediatric therapies such as OT, physical therapy, SLP, and behavior therapies.
Okay.
So essentially, they're just kind of growing a bit more on what the current child development centers are currently doing.
Right.
They're trying to invest a little bit more on those pediatric.
Because early intervention is key. And if these kiddos are going from $22,000 a year in interventions, and then they're going, oops, we're done here, and they don't qualify for the benefit because they're not profoundly impacted, and parents don't get the supplement, or the supplement at max is $6,000 a year per child.
Right.
So what is going to happen? Because we're in a province where for years and years and years, it's like early intervention is key. Early intervention is key. And the data states early intervention is key. Yeah. Everybody knows early intervention is key. So I'm glad they're putting pediatrics as a priority for sure, because early intervention is very important for sure.
So the next rollout date is summer 2027.
Okay.
Where they're going to be focusing on behavioral and mental health supports.
What does that mean?
At this point, I'm assuming mental health. So they're going to be looking at, getting more psychologists or counselors on board.
Okay.
Focusing on, I guess, those kiddos that need the most support.
I think if we jump to what they say 2028 is, I think it'll show kind of why we're a little conflicted.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So summer 2027, behavioral and mental health supports.
Yeah.
Winter 2027 is navigation and family support. To me, I don't understand why they're waiting until 2027 to finally help parents navigate when they're changing the whole system now.
Winter of 2027. And we've said before, neurological development does not get paused because we have wait lists. Like it's not making sense, guys. So in terms of gap, a kind reminder, if you haven't seen the other programs, autism funding's last day is March 31st, 2027. The supplement comes in 4 months later in July. And now they're saying navigation for these families is coming another 4 months. Later after that. So you don't even get navigated until after all of the changes and after you've lost all of the funding and after you don't have a place to go and you don't know what to do.
Right.
Then parents get navigated.
Yeah. Now you get support.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell me what those supports look like. What does navigation mean?
So then finally, the last is spring of 2028.
Yeah.
Where it's programming for children and teens aged 6 to 18.
What does that mean?
Yes. So
here's my assumption and why it's my assumption. But again, guys, this is an assumption. It'll be interesting to look back on this podcast in a year.
Right.
My assumption is because they're saying programming is happening in 2028 and they're specifically stating behavioral mental health is going to be in 2027.
Yes.
My assumption is the kiddos that are profoundly impacted by autism but did not qualify for the benefit will be prioritized for one-on-one supports for mental health and behavior in 2027. But kids that are not profoundly and didn't qualify, the ollies, will wait until 2028 for the programs,
through the
which
social
would
groups.
be groups. And
and
because we already know that
behavioral.
these centers do, and they do great work for the most part. We hear really
Oh,
good things
yeah.
about them other than the wait list, but that's not their fault. But we hear they do really great work. So we hear that it's a lot of group sessions where, and a lot of parent education too, where parents are told how to help support their child and go home and support their child with that instead of therapy. So it's a tough one because we don't really know.
They haven't given us an literally, this is what we were given, the 4 rollout.
I think honestly though,
Like,
Angela, do
it's
you feel like
not.
there's a way that they could give us more honest information if they don't know? And we'll do a
Yeah.
truth bomb drop here.
Yeah.
The truth bomb drop, guys, is we have a survey. Our survey is now at over 500, but just to touch on the actual report here, guys. The report is showing, so we did a survey with RASP service providers and other service providers. We have over 500 entries, and we did a report. The latest report was from data extracted on March 28th, 2026 here, and it's showing that 1 in 5 providers are willing to work in a government community center, meaning the very people needing to staff Program 3 will not be there. So back to my point, Angela,
Yeah.
how can they give us clear details if they
Right.
don't know who's going to staff it?
I'm just mind boggled that they're even announcing this when they haven't done the groundwork to understand
Well,
who's going to be
well, if you
staffing
if you think
it.
about it from a business perspective, right? So we're going to do business for a second. As a business owner, I could think
Yeah.
of it from the single is, if I am opening something in a year and I don't need staff for a year, how would I know what my capacity is?
I guess you wouldn't necessarily, but you'd think that they would have done a lot of the research to say, hey, we have X amount of interest of these SLPs, OTs, psychologists that do want to work with us. And
Well,
so far, our stats are showing only 1 in 5 want to.
yeah, and if I'm looking at the stats here, so the proposed model is group based. Most child need one to one. So 85% say most need one to one. So that's a little scary. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go through a couple of stats here super quick. We have the statistics that show why these service providers don't want to work in these community center models, and it really comes down to like loss of autonomy,
Yeah.
not having confidence in this model, and being overworked. And one of the really wild statistics that just popped up and really shook me was that some service providers said it was unethical.
Yeah.
That was, and I was a little intrigued by that, and I almost wish we dove a little bit deeper in that question. But we have quite a few comments and statements. We have like over 600 statements on how this is feeling for them, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough one.
It is. It's definitely bringing up a lot of more questions. The more we get deeper into this, the more questions I have. And it just seems like there's not enough answers.
Well, I gotta say, I'm just looking at the report right now, and one of the big statistics, this report was done by 488 responders at the time that we put this report together. And one of the questions within the report is, how much have you invested in your education and in your business? And I bring up this for a specific reason. And the result was, and this is about only a fraction of how many service providers there are in Canada, or in BC, sorry, 64 million was estimated invested in education and business. 64 million. And I say that with love because as a service provider who I ourselves have invested a significant amount into our 3 locations and into educating our staff and educating ourselves and all the things that we have to do to set up a successful ecosystem for these children's supports. If you were to be like, hey, Steph, close your business, shut down all of your supports, shut down everything, and come work for us,
Yeah.
that's a sour pill to swallow.
Yeah.
A lot of service providers are very hurt, respectfully,
Yeah. And scared.
and scared.
It's a scary time for service providers.
But it's
just as
clear,
much
it's
as
clear looking at
parents.
this report that they're not willing to budge. Like, you can't just force them to close the way that they do their life. There's people in these comments that are putting off having a baby in IVF, and they're putting off buying a home, and they're putting off traveling, and they're closing their centers already, and they're already having these talks with parents and prep. And it's just incredibly sad to see that these well-educated, respected people who literally, people think they make a lot of money, these specialists, but when you see the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, it's a love project.
This industry, you're not working in this industry to
You're definitely
rich.
not working.
You are doing it because this is your passion and the love and care you have for these children and their families. That's what drives you.
Yeah, you guys, the concern here and why it's too good to be true. In summary, it's too good to be true because we don't know who's going to staff it. These are the very professionals who are the most educated to be able to help our children. And the educated professionals in this field with experience are saying, no, thank you.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to also point out while we're talking about where these therapies will be held.
Oh, the map ain't
mapping? The maps, yes. So right now, there's currently 42 designated community providers across BC. 42, that's it. And most of them are in the urban centers, like, the lower mainland. I want to say Fraser Valley, but let's face it, there's 2 in the Fraser Valley. So really, yes.
But isn't one of them just an SLP? Isn't that one? Is that the one you're talking about?
Let's talk about the map ain't mapping.
All right, let's mapping.
So if you go on the government website right now and you were to pull up their map that shows all the different community providers, you'll see a nice big gap all the way from Maple Ridge and Surrey all the way to Kamloops and Kelowna. And there's one child development center that's going to service that whole area.
Now, we are blessed, Angela and I, to be in that community. And the kiddos we know and the families we know, we're blessed to be in Chilliwack, where the Fraser Valley Child Development Center is.
And they are amazing.
They're amazing.
We hear amazing things about them.
And we hope that they stay optimistic and inspired and are able to continue their good work. There's just so much concerns, guys, because that is another thing. So number one is, who is going to work in these centers and how are parents going to access them? We're talking now, Angela, there's no center in Merritt.
There's no center in Abbotsford.
There's no center in Vernon.
There is a head office in Abbotsford. I know a lot of people say, oh, but I see one in Abbotsford. No, that's a head office.
So there's nothing in Vernon, nothing in Merritt. There's nothing in Hope.
Nothing in Langley.
Nothing in Mission.
There's just not a lot of much. There's Chilliwack.
I saw a comment from a mom who was saying her closest community center on the map is 90 minutes away, and that her children were unable to be successful within the school system, so she has to homeschool. She doesn't have transportation, and her current therapists come into her home. Right. You guys, if you're not in this world and you don't know, a lot of these families that live in rural areas that don't have access to centers or clinics, they hire privately. BIs are entry level, and they may have to work with a behavioral consultant that works alongside their BI, but that behavioral consultant is virtual. Yeah, so they usually use virtual specialists and then BIs in their community, and those BIs go into their home. Why are we taking that away? These are the very parents that, number one, how much did they have to even fight to get the assessment in the first place? Yeah. How long did they have to drive and figure out to get that assessment? How much did they have to fight to get their AFU? And then now they're being told, we're stripping all of that away and please drive 90 minutes one way for therapy.
And that's even if you get off the wait list. Let's not forget the wait list.
Now, we're going to try and be on the government side for a second here and say thank you for elaborating that the map is not yet complete, that you may have other locations. We are hoping to see those locations pop up any day now, so we can stay optimistic beside you.
As we said, the map ain't mapping. It breaks my heart. If you are not in Vancouver, the Lower Mainland, let's face it, you're going to be struggling with accessing these centers. And even if you do get on the wait list and are magically able to see and get support, it doesn't feel like this is going to be successful.
Well, you just sparked a question for me if I was a parent watching this. How do I get on the wait list? We have a year, so can we get on the wait list now?
Well, that's a great question.
That's a great question.
Last time we reached out, which was a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
we called and they couldn't give us any information on how to actually get on the wait list.
And nothing is online. So we checked yesterday for any updates. There's no updates into when the wait list opens. What we do have is we have been contacted by the ministry. We have a psychologist on staff at Awesome Match who does autism assessments. That wait list is closed, so please don't call us. But I mentioned that because we've been contacted just yesterday to check in to see how much and what our assessment process is from MCFD. And I find that a little wild because we also know that in order to access some of these, they're going to say that children may have to go through additional assessments, but they haven't been clear on what that criteria is. Like, is it if you're accessing community centers, you need a reassessment? Or is it if you're trying to access the benefit and you're going through the indirect pathway, do you need assessment? Like, we have no idea what that means, what they're looking for, or what they're doing. And I don't think they know yet either, respectfully, because as we know, it kind of feels like they're building the plane while on the runway and hoping it takes off. We're hoping 100% of the kids get 100% of their needs taken care of as well.
One thing I wanted to talk about was now that we're talking about all the therapists, where are the therapists coming from, who's going to be doing all these things.
Yeah.
What the government has said is that their workforce plan relies on therapy assistants, new grads, and supervised students. So let's talk about how do we feel about this? How do we feel about them really diving into post-secondary students that are going to be supervised?
Number one, I'm glad because I think that they need to definitely have a place to go, and there is a place to go within this industry, and it removes the barriers for them to be able to find a career because it's out of college, you're good, you're in. At the same time, if they don't have enough specialists to work under and learn from, that's obviously a concern. What's funny is this industry has been really tough, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. As a service provider, we're consistently asked, like, what are the qualifications? Your staff aren't qualified enough, and it's like we start somewhere. And I understand that. However, the somewhere cannot be almost, gosh knows how much of your staff is new without experience directly with autistic individuals or others. And I don't know, I'm always going to go back to, my biggest scare and the scare for these parents. And we're not going to get into it right now because Angela and I, before this podcast, we looked at the parent survey. We just put out a survey yesterday. So we have a advocacy group that I'm working alongside 3 other amazing ladies, Amber, Bethany, and Jennifer. And it's called 27K Kids BC, or Plus Kids BC, the plus for kiddos outside of the autism diagnosis. Right. We put together just a survey. We publicized it yesterday. Within 24 hours, we have over 200 responses, which is incredible. And we are going through those responses, and the responses on the parents and the parents' concern for this transformation has been shocking. We had one parent mention that she herself feels unaliving is the right word to say, because she's so sick of watching the government create barriers after barriers for her child. There is many concerns over children's mental health. The majority of these concerns are mental health. Yeah. And also over 70% of these parents are either formally diagnosed or self-identifying or questioning if they themselves are neurodiverse. Right. This is a program and a shift from something that was very definitive. Your child has autism. Poof, here's your funding, find your providers. And now it's gone to 3 separate programs to navigate, 3 separate things to try and figure out, 3 separate programs with not enough answers and barriers to each. And my heart is with these parents that have to navigate it. But again, back to the concerns about who's going to staff it, I respectfully am weary of SLPs and OTs coming out of school. Yeah. But they have to start somewhere.
Exactly. I get that. When your whole staffing is going to be.
But the majority of these parents that are worried are talking about anxiety, depression, major mental health concerns, ollies of the world. Yeah. And I think that requires respectfully a level of experience and delicacy. Like, it's a fragile thing to work with children who have this extent of mental health considerations
Yeah.
and be really green and new at this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we about knocked out who's going to work here, hey? And we
Yeah.
knocked out the map. So what else do we have? So we have we have the timeline.
I wanted to touch on wait lists because that
Okay.
is one of the biggest things I think
Yeah.
a lot of parents are really, really, truly worried about. Let's face it, anything government related, anything free,
Yep.
there's going to be a wait list. And like you've said, your therapy just doesn't get put on pause because you're on a wait list. Like a 1 to 2, 3 year wait list to access some of these service providers. That's, especially when the government stressed the importance of early intervention.
Mm-hmm.
But then your child's put on a 2 year wait list to see an SLP.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing, guys, is like when we're looking at these service providers, and these service providers are the very ones that live here in BC that are dedicated to autism and that already have wait lists. I don't know any SLP or OT or behavioral consultant who does not have a wait list.
Right?
There is
Exactly.
wait lists everywhere. So if there's already a wait list at 100% of the
Yes.
current service providers that we have, there's going to be a wait list there. That is fact. And what these service
Yes.
providers are saying in this report is 91% say that families face either a wait of more than a year or no adequate community services at all. And that is for this program that's supposed to support 100% of these children. Again, guys, these various service providers are saying 91% face a wait of a year or no adequate
And
services
these are
at
your
all.
current service providers. So this is very, very accurate information.
And another 1 in 5 stat from these providers is only 1 in 5 providers are confident that this model will equally serve rural, remote, and Indigenous communities.
Exactly. Think of those communities.
Think of those communities.
It's going to be
It's going to be tough, guys.
It's going to be so hard. And I know there are some families that I work with already throughout BC that have had the hub model
right
already implemented.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's a joke. It is the biggest joke. No one can actually see anyone.
Well, and I think that they recognize that because they put out the pilot project data and statistics on what they did there. And that's why they're not going down the model of the hubs, is because they recognize that that wasn't a fruitful endeavor. But you have to think about it now. Like right now, there are already a lot of kids on the wait list for these child development centers. And right now, kiddos that have autism, undiagnosed, and FASD and Down syndrome and all that, they all get to access these child development centers for free until they get funding. And that brings me to the next point that we have to make sure we wrap up here in today's podcast is the priority order of those that are going to be seen on that wait list. So they're saying priority 1 is going to the kiddos, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, I believe we fact checked this. Priority 1 is going to kiddos that do not have access to program 1 or 2, so they don't have access to the benefit or the supplement. And then priority 2 would be kiddos that don't have access to the benefits, get a little bit of supplements, or have access to therapies, period.
Right.
And then it will be kiddos that have access to either or program. So definitely the kids that don't have anything are going to be first in line at these community centers. How they're going to evaluate that when parent navigation doesn't start until winter 2027 doesn't make sense.
And then the social programs, which a lot of the ollies are that's what they're going to be using a lot of, don't roll out until 2028.
You know what, guys?
So
don't take a peek at what's happening in Ontario. Again, I'm going to say it, and I hate saying it, but I'm going to say it because I don't want to be. I'm definitely opposed to this model, but I'm trying to see the good despite the changes that are being presented here. But BC still is the best province in Canada for families with kiddos on the spectrum, one of the best. And there are other provinces suffering far more than us. This is the problem is you can't put out this structure that so many parents have built. I mean, there's parents in these reports, 10 years with their service providers. Their kiddos take transitions really hard. There's a lot of very grave concerns for the mental health impacts that these have on the children. And I pray that they reconsider.
Oh, we're doing everything we can, Steph. I know you are doing everything in your power, and we are definitely trying to push back as much as we can and educate parents, because we this last week have had a bunch of parent support groups, and just teaching parents what's going on. And there has been numerous parents who, until that moment, nothing, they didn't understand what was happening, and then all of a sudden it clicks, and they're realizing that they're going from two children under 6 years old receiving 44,000 a year in therapy to nothing. And we have been sitting there with those families, crying with those families, holding their hands through this process, because the government has not told the parents what this will look like for them. Parents are left to their own devices right now to figure it out, and we're doing the best we can to educate.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up now. I think we've given everything that we possibly can based on what the government has given us. We will be updating you guys below in the comment section of this video. We'll continue to have a live document once information comes to us, when it does come to us. What we want to hear from you guys is, what did you like about this podcast? What did you love about Angela's flair, or the way we're able to articulate our things to you? Give us some good information on how we can make this better for you, and what you're looking for, and how we can advocate best for you.
Also, I would love to know how you feel about the map.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd be able to access these community-based services based off of the map currently? Because I know there's going to be a huge gap between, especially if you live, rurally throughout British Columbia.
Or are you even interested? I mean, I've had some parents even say, we're not even interested in trying to start.
Right.
Now I encourage everyone to be on the wait list, because it doesn't hurt.
Exactly. Once we figure out how to get on the wait list, we will let you know. And that's what I've been suggesting for all parents, is get on the wait list, because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, let us know what other information do you want to see us talk about? I know next time we're going to be talking about what to do now once all this goes through. Mm-hmm. We're still holding out hope that it's not, but in case it does, what should you do? And that's going to look a lot like investing in yourself as a parent.
Yeah.
And being able to bring, these strategies and techniques into your own home to make your house a really, really cool, lovely environment.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's it. Angela, I want to thank you for being my co-host, as always.
Of course.
And also for inspiring the families and being with them along this journey. So, all right. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Stay awesome.